Howdy, folks. Old man Robertson here. Today, we're going to be working on the old International here a little bit. Specifically, I'm going to be changing the fuel pump. This thing's been giving me some trouble. It'll run, but it does not want to go uphill for some reason. If you're pointed downhill, if you're on level ground, it runs fine. But if you start going uphill, it bogs down, acts like it's starving for fuel. I've already changed the sediment bowl. And when I did that, it took an hour to drain out about 1.5 gallons of gas. So I changed all of that out, blew the lines out. I've got good fuel flow going now up to the sediment bowl and up to the filter, or the pump, excuse me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to change out this fuel pump and see if we can't get a little better performance out of it. Also testing out some new gear today, so y'all let me know what you think. I've got a cheap little tripod that I bought off of Amazon. It's got this nice little clicky remote for the phone that works off of Bluetooth. And I also have a lapel mic here. We'll see if the sound's a little bit better, see if you can understand me better so I don't have to yell at the camera. All right, let's get into it. Okay, guys. So I'm not going to be filming everything here because you won't be able to see what I'm doing anyhow. It's so crowded in here. Right there is the fuel pump, the old one. And just so you see, there's 2 bolts that hold it on. And if I can get in here and get you a good shot, maybe. There's the sediment bowl. There's the bottom. You've got 2 fuel lines and a wire. So what I'm going to have to do is come back here, take this line loose so I can unscrew the bowl from the pump. Follow this wire up and unplug it. And then take this line loose. Then I'll take these 2 bolts off back here and the whole pump should come off. I'll be back with you in a second. All right, guys, so I got the old pump off and I had to cut the wire because whoever had been in here before me had spliced them together with a butt splice. So I'm going to try to get that cleaned up a little bit. A couple of things I have noticed here is I'm going to have to take these fittings off to put on the new one because the 90-degree won't work. And those are also for a rubber line, and I do have metal lines on this tractor, so when I swap that out. And this one has 2 wires. There is a ground wire attached to the bottom here. This one only had 1 wire. I'm guessing it was a case ground to the bracket. This one's made to ride on rubber bushings so it doesn't vibrate as bad, so I guess that's the reason for the second wire. Don't know why they've got that particular style of plug on the end of that wire. I'm probably going to have to take that off and put an eyelet on to fasten it to a bolt somewhere. So I'm going to get this swapped off and I'll be back. All right, guys, that didn't take long at all. Got the eyelet and the connector on the wires, got the fittings changed over. Actually came apart and went back together a bit easier than I thought it would. I didn't think I would ever get that pipe nipple right there out, but came out pretty easy. So now it's time to get it all hooked back up and we'll see what happens. All right, guys, I've had the charger on the battery for just a little bit and I've got everything swapped out. Got the new fuel pump on. While I had the lines unhooked, I came over to this side and unhooked the line going into the carburetor and blew back through it to make sure it wasn't clogged up. I got everything put back together. Got the battery was dead, so I've had the charger on it now for a few minutes. Let's see if we can get it fired up and give it a test. It is cold natured. All right, guys. Well, I didn't get the footage. Apparently, this new gear that I've got, I'm still getting used to it, but changing the fuel pump did not help. It was getting close to supper time, and obviously, I don't miss too many of those. So it's another day. What we're going to do now is we're going to go on this side. We're going to take the carburetor bowl off and adjust the float because it's still running okay, level ground or downhill, but it just won't run uphill. So search the forums, and what I've found is that some people that have had this problem have bent the float arms just a little bit, so it won't shut the carb off as quick. We're going to try that, and I'll be back with you in a minute. All right, guys, I've taken the carb apart, cleaned it. It was pretty clean to start with, but I went ahead and did a little bit more. And what I've done now is I've bent the arms here on the floats. As if you can look in here and see, yeah, focus right. You can see this little valve in front of my finger. As the float moves, that valve closes in and out. I'm holding it on an angle, so it's not going to work exactly right. So by bending the float arms up, the theory is that going uphill, then when the fuel in the bowl moves to the back of the carburetor, the floats will stay open a little bit more. They won't shut off as quick, and that way keep the valve open so you can still get fuel going in. So I'm gonna get it all put back together now, and I'll be back. I had the battery charger on it for a few minutes. We're gonna see what happens now. Here comes the moment of truth. Made it up the hill. Didn't stall, didn't sputter. Got just a slight miss in it every now and then. It needs a set of plugs. think that solved the problem. All right, guys, there you have it. It was a little bit of work, but finally got her going. It'll run uphill, doing good. Hello, R2. This is R2. He's my supervisor. So obviously the sediment bowl did not fix the problem, but it needed to be done because the glass was cracked, the seal was eat up, and there was no filter inside it. So that needed to be done anyway. We had very slow flow coming from the tank to the sediment bowl. So blowing out the line with some air definitely needed to be done. Got a lot better flow out of it. The fuel pump, yeah, the old one was probably still working, but with all of the gunk that was in the sediment bowl when I took it off of there, I'm sure some dirt and trash and rust got over into the pump, and I'd say it at least needs to be rebuilt, which is probably what I'll do. Is I'll keep it and get a rebuild seal kit for it and rebuild it and have it ready if something happens to this one, so it'll be a quick swap. But obviously the main thing was bending those float arms. So hopefully if any of you guys out there have an old gas tractor and it won't run uphill, or depending on which carb you have and the orientation of the carb on the tractor, if it won't run downhill, but otherwise it runs fine on level ground, try taking your floats out and bending the arms up just a little bit. And that way the floats will ride higher and it'll take a little bit longer for it to shut the flow off completely on the needle valve. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. So I realized that R2 wasn't quite in frame a while ago. So here he is. Say hi, buddy. This is R2. He likes to come out and help me. He watches after me. Have fun, guys.